Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to talk through the essential tools that we need for beading. So there are some essential tools that we need for beading and some less essential tools, and I've got a mixture of both of those here. So I'm going to talk you through the essentials first. So we need a plier set for beading and any wire work, and you can get all different types of plier sets these days, but essentially they just need to have the same sort of pliers in. So to begin with, you're going to need a cutter. So these are called wire cutters, or sometimes they're just called cutters. Sometimes they're called flush cutters. Flush cutters are a type of cutter that are very sharp, so they'll give you a really flush cut, or just general cutters will give you a kind of a slightly beveled cut. But any kind of cutter so that we can cut our wire and anything that we're working with is a good shout. Then you'll need some snipe nose pliers, or sometimes they're called chain nose pliers, and they are pointed. So we've got a pointy end and they're flat on the inside. So those are really important pliers for beading. We use these for something called crimping. We also use them for bending wire and all sorts. So make sure you've got a pair of snipe nose or chain nose pliers. They're the same thing. Then you're also going to want some flat nose pliers. So flat nose are flat on the inside and flat on the outside. So they're quite chunky ones. I don't use these a lot in my beading, but they are useful for closing jump rings, and they're useful for just working with bigger chunks of wire and elements if I need to. Another pair of pliers you're going to really want are some round nose pliers. So these are basically cones on the end. So they're round all the way around, great for making loops and anything kind of circular shaped coils. So very useful in our jewellery making. So that's our kind of basic set of pliers. If you have nothing else and you have those, you'll be able to do beaded jewellery. But there are some other things, some additional pliers and some other things that I like to work with. So I'm going to show you those as well. So this is a fifth plier. This is called a D-shaped plier, and it has a curve on one side of the inside. Then the rest is all flat. These are really useful for ring making and also in silversmithing jewellery for doing things like bezel setting. So not an essential for beading, but if you're going to be doing lots of rings or lots of wire work, then it's something that you might want to invest in. And often it will come as a pack of 5 like this. So when you're buying your pliers, I would recommend not getting the cheapest pliers available, but going for a kind of mid-range, because they're more likely to last you longer, they're a bit more sturdy, and they're more likely to have the additional pliers in there. Obviously, if you can only work with cheap pliers, it's fine, it still works in the beginning, but if you want to develop your beading, you're going to want something a little bit nicer to work with. Some additional pliers you might be interested in are nylon jawed pliers. So these have nylon in the jaws, as the name suggests, and these are used for really straightening out our wire. So if our wire gets bent, you just place it in there and straighten it out. So they're quite handy. I also have some crimping pliers here. Crimping pliers are used for crimping, not surprisingly, and they've got a kind of oval shape at the top and almost like a sideways lip shape at the bottom. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but they are used for doing something called crimping, which is basically closing a metal tube in a way to attach an end of a necklace or a bracelet. I don't use these very much anymore. I rather use my chain nose pliers when I do crimping. So they're definitely not essential, but it's just good to know what they are when you're looking around the plier selection. And if you do a lot of crimping, then you might want to invest in some of these. So they're my pliers. Some other tools that I've got here. This is a ring mandrel, a wooden ring mandrel. So if you would like to make beaded rings, this is a very handy piece of equipment. They're not very expensive and you can use them obviously for years. So I really like to have a ring mandrel in my tool set. A handy ruler. It's useful to have one of these by your beading mat at all times so that you can measure out your bracelets, your necklaces, earrings. You could also use a tape measure, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And then I have these multi-mandrels, they're called, beading mandrels, which I'm a big fan of these. I use them for wrapping, for wire wrapping. They're absolutely not essential for beading, but they're just a nice little additional tool. And as you go through your beading kind of journey, you'll find lots of tools that you like and you enjoy. So that's all the bits and pieces. The final thing that I haven't mentioned yet is the beading mat, which is this mat on the bottom. And beading mats have fine fibers in, which mean that if I kind of sprinkle beads, they're going to stay pretty much in place. So if I try and bead just on a regular table, my beads are going to go everywhere and it's a little bit trickier. So I definitely recommend having a beading mat. So if you're brand new to beading, the absolute essentials are 3 pliers, which is the cutters, the chain nose or snipe nose pliers, and your round nose pliers. With those 3 pliers alone, you can do so much, but obviously you can build up and add to your kit as you go along. So best of luck with your beading. I hope you enjoy. Do check out our other videos to learn how to use the pliers and how to create pieces, and come and join us over on the Jewellers Academy website for professional online courses. We also have a free absolute beginners course for beading, which is very popular. So I'd recommend taking that if you haven't already. And if you guys have any tips or tools or materials that you like to use in your beading, feel free to come and share about those in the comments too. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in another video very soon.